y'all doing? Good morning, Will. These are your friends, keeping an eye on things. Good morning, friends. I hope you're all having a great day. My name is Andrea and welcome to my channel, Eldon Acres. Today I'm hoping to get our garlic in the ground. I've got a few other things that I would like to get planted that I should have had planted by now, but life just got in the way and we didn't get it done. It is November 23rd today. It's Saturday morning, so I apologize. I've only had half of my first coffee today, so still a little bit sleepy, I guess. But anyways, we are going to get to it. I'm just going to hammer through getting the garlic in the ground. We've got about a pound of porcelain music garlic to get in the ground. I typically plant my garlic about 2 to 3 inches down, and then I cover it with straw. Now I know some people don't like to use straw because sometimes in the spring, if there's any wheat left in there, it starts growing up and it can be a real pain in the butt. But in my experience, I've never had any issues like that. I get my straw from my parents' farm and it works really well. I actually typically leave the straw on through the entire growing season. Again, I know some people say that in the spring when things warm up, you should take it off. But I find in our climate, where we are in Ontario, that if I leave the straw on there, it gives a little bit of moisture retention. As I've mentioned before, I collect rainwater to water my garden, so oftentimes I don't water the garlic. It's just left to its own devices. So any water retention, moisture retention that we can get from, you know, a good layer of mulch or straw is beneficial to us. So that's how I do it. So we're gonna get the garlic in the ground. I have a couple peony roots that I want to get in the ground, a baby's breath root that I purchased on sale. I'm not really sure why I purchased it. I've tried growing it before and it hasn't survived, so we're going to try that again. And I think I also have 2 hostas to get in the ground, which should have been in the ground before now, as well as 2 hydrangea. Again, I don't know about you, but sometimes I procrastinate things. We're still good weather. Like, it's chilly this morning, but I think it's around 5 degrees Celsius. So we're above freezing. We've had a couple nights that have been below freezing. We've had some really hard frost. Like, everything has been killed off from the frost at this point. But we're still totally fine to get planting. I would have liked to have had these things in the ground at least a month ago. But such is life. 2 years ago, I was planting tulip and daffodil bulbs on January 1st. So we've come a little ways since then. Anyways, we are gonna get right to it. As you can see, I've got my winter gardening gloves. So these ones are just leather. Actually, I used to use them for horseback riding in the winter. So they're leather lined gloves, and they got some holes in them and stuff. So now I've started using them for winter gardening gloves. I wouldn't need winter gardening gloves if I got my button gear, but such is life. So we're gonna get going on that. I'm probably just gonna rifle through that stuff and we'll just see how it goes. All right, let's get to it. All right, so we are out where I would like to plant my garlic. So just to this side of me is our vegetable garden where we had the sunflowers, the zinnias, all that kind of stuff. So this area right here is where I'm going to plant the garlic this year. So this past harvest season, I actually didn't end up growing garlic and I really regretted it. But the reason being, so last year in September, our daughter was born and I kind of had, like, you know, a little bit of a hard time postpartum and I just couldn't get to it. So I didn't plant garlic last year and I really regretted it. So this year we're not making that same mistake. We are going to get some garlic planted. I'm just watching my guinea fowl and my chickens have a little fight over some scraps that I gave them. Sometimes our guineas can be so mean, and now they're going to start screaming because I'm talking. I apologize for the background noise. Anyway, so what I like to do typically is, I shouldn't say typically, what we're doing this time is a no-till method. So as you can see back here, I have water troughs and sign, like, you know, just stuff covering the ground. Why I like to do that is because that kills out the sod, so that kills out the grass, and I can just do this and leave it covered until I'm ready. Typically I use a tarp, but we were using our tarp for something else. I don't even remember what we were using it for. Anyways, a tarp is a much nicer method, but I just used what we had and it works fine. So we've got this area covered up. So this is, oh, there's Olive. So this is the area we're going to plant our garlic in. So basically I'm just going to uncover it and just dig a couple trenches and get our garlic in the ground. I do want to show you what my garlic looks like. So I ended up being gifted some garlic this year from a friend. So she purchased too much and she just wanted it to go to good use. So she gifted it to me. So we've got about a pound of garlic, and she even went to the trouble of separating the cloves, and it's literally ready to go. I am so lucky. We have the best friends and family, I swear. So this is ready to go. So this bag is about, I don't know, half full, maybe just over half. It's pretty, like I said, it's about a pound of garlic. So we've got our garlic all ready to go. Typically what you do is you buy your garlic and then you have to separate it. So you want to make sure that you leave as much of the paper on the garlic clove as possible, and then you just want to be somewhat gentle when you're separating it, just again to ensure that you're leaving as much paper on the garlic as possible. So I'm going to get our ground uncovered, get a couple trenches dug, and we're just going to get rolling on through this. These jugs have water in them. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I collect rainwater for my garden. So these are just some rainwater jugs that we have out here. I'll leave them out here. I'll probably just put them there along the fence and they'll be ready to go for spring. We're not wasting any water around here. All right, so I just took my weed whacker to the area here and just kind of cleaned up. There was, like, you know, some lines of grass that had grown up in between my grass cover. So I just took my weed whacker and kind of tidied that up. I'm just gonna rake everything off, and then we're gonna get going on preparing our trenches to put the garlic in. I don't really know how many trenches I'm gonna need. I guess we'll see what happens. So I'm just gonna get this raked off just so that, you know, it just kind of tidies the area up a little bit. And I'm just gonna trim it up a little bit more. All right. That looks good. So I just wanted to kind of trim up around the edges. The grass had just kind of grown up kind of along the edges where I couldn't, like, get in tight with the lawnmower. We have, like, a huge quack grass issue, so I like to kind of cut it back as much as possible. It's inevitable. It's bad around here everywhere, so sometimes I just take the weed eater to it. So we'll do one more rake and then we'll carry on digging some trenches. It's okay if this isn't perfect because, like I said, we're gonna mulch it over anyways with the straw, but it will just be easier going if I get some of this stuff out of the way. And I'm just kind of raking all that grass off to the side. I'll probably use it in with the mulch too. We might as well. You know, this step maybe isn't necessary, but I just thought it might make putting a trench in a little bit easier. There are like a couple, you know, like grass tufts and weeds in here because I didn't till it up, which maybe I should have tilled it, but I was trying a no-till method, so we'll see how it goes. This is definitely harder work doing it this way, but see what I mean? Just like, you know, like little weeds that I can pull out now and hopefully won't be a problem in the spring. We've had a lot of rain the past couple days, so the ground is pretty wet. So maybe not the best time to be planting, but we're gonna get it in the ground. We're getting it done. All right, so we've got 2 trenches here. I'm gonna need more than 2 trenches, but I just want to, you know what, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna finish up. I'm gonna do, I don't know, 2 more trenches maybe 3 more. Let me do that and then we'll just plant everything. If I've dug too many trenches, it sucks, but it is what it is. All right, so we've got 4 trenches. I stopped at 4. You can see them there. So my trenches, so I'll plant my garlic about 3 inches deep, I think, and then we're gonna cover it with straw. I'll bring a straw bale over. And then I'm gonna plant them, I don't know, about 4 inches apart, and my rows are probably about 6 inches apart. 6 to 8 inches apart. I didn't measure. This is how I garden. I'm sorry if that drives you crazy. It drives Brandon crazy. But this is just how I do it. So yeah, so we're just gonna get them in the ground and then hopefully I don't have to do any more trenches because that's a lot harder work than I anticipated. But that's okay. It'll be well worth it. Somebody is super sucky today for some reason. This is Olive. She is 8 years old. She'll be, yeah, she just turned 8. What's the date today? We adopted her, so we don't really know like when her actual birth date is, but her gotcha day will be tomorrow, which is very exciting. Tomorrow or Monday? I can't remember, but I usually make her like a little treat just to celebrate. So yeah, we'll have had her 8 years tomorrow, so that's very exciting. November 24th, which is also funny because that's also the date that Brandon and I started dating 12 years ago, which is also crazy. Anyways, let's get this garlic in the ground. I have a sweat on, but that's okay. We're gonna get it in the ground, cover it up with soil, and then get the straw on it and tuck it in for the winter. So let's get to it. Beautiful garlic. So when you're planting garlic, I'll bring you in a little closer. But when you're planting garlic, let me get a nice big clove. So when you're planting garlic, you want that side down and the pointy bit up, because that's where it'll grow out of the top. So this is the bottom and the top. So you want to put it in your trench somewhat pointing up is the best practice, but if they fall over, it's not the end of the world. They'll come up for the sun. So I'm going to bring you in close so you can get a better idea of how that's going to go.
So you may notice here that I do start to plant a few of the cloves a little bit closer together than I had originally planned. Some of the cloves looked a little bit questionable in regards to viability or whether they were still alive or not. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to plant everything, but the ones that look a little bit questionable, I'm going to plant them a little bit closer together so that worst case, if something doesn't survive the winter, something else will come up relatively close and we won't have huge gaps.
Right, so we have all of our Porcelain Music garlic planted, and I actually ended up planting almost the entire 4 rows. So I'm glad I did the extra row, although when I was planting, I remembered that I have some other garlic in the house. So a lady that I used to work with, her and I started years ago, we would barter. So she gets a bale of straw from me every year, and then in return she gives me some garlic bulbs to plant. So I probably have about another row to plant. So I'm gonna go in the house, grab that, bring it out. It's in the full bulb, so I'll kind of show you what I do to break them apart and prepare them for the ground. But I'm just gonna quickly hammer out one more row because I know that I'm gonna need one more row. I'm gonna bring those over, and while I'm at it, I might as well bring over the straw. So let's carry on. Are you the garlic queen? With your paws in there. You just can't help yourself, eh? Alright, so we've got a 5th row ready. I'm just gonna go grab the rest of the garlic. So I went and grabbed our other garlic. Now, I don't know the variety of this garlic, but that's okay. It's delicious. It's smaller cloves, but they're really flavorful. I've grown this before. Like I said, we do this every year. Last year when I didn't plant my garlic, we just ate it. And that's the nice thing with garlic. You can either plant it or eat it. So I'll just show you what I like to do. So I just kind of bend the stem just so you can kind of get like in one of these crevices with your finger, and there's no real science to this. You just kind of like gently-ish pry it open. They come apart, and then you just gently break the cloves apart. Again, I'm trying to keep as much of the paper on as possible. Right? So, and then this just gets thrown away. We've got a bunch of cloves in there. Again, just gently breaking them apart because you just want to keep, again, as much as that paper on them as possible. There we go. So let's just get them in the ground. Of course, I took my bag that I was using to the recycling, so I'll just break these and drop them in the ground as we go. We're just going to fire these ones in just like we did the others. I'll just angle you a little. Alright, so that is all the garlic in the ground. Let's get it covered up. I brought my straw over. Got a beautiful bale right here. So I'm just going to cover it up with soil. I'll probably kind of stamp it down a little bit with my feet. I'll show you everything that I do, and then we're going to get it tucked in. I do have some wood chips, a pile of wood chips just beside me here. I might put a sprinkle of wood chips over top of the straw just so that it doesn't blow away. We're expecting some rain. As you can see, the clouds rolling in behind me. It's been kind of misty on and off, but we're expecting some rain. It's windy. I assume the wind is going to pick up more, and I don't want all of my straw to blow away. So I might just sprinkle some wood chips on top just to help keep it there.
Friends, I am so sorry about the wind and the noise in this video. I didn't realize when I was recording it how loud it was going to be, so I do apologize if you have stuck through until this point. I so appreciate you watching, and I have gone ahead and ordered myself a microphone on a Black Friday sale, and hopefully in the future we won't have this issue with the wind, because unfortunately where we live up on this hill, it does get pretty windy most of the time. So I do apologize, and thank you so much for sticking it out with me today.
Alright friends, we have our garlic entirely covered. So I put the straw down, and then on top of the straw we just used up some wood chips. So it's covered with probably about a foot between the straw and the wood chip debris. I also, you see the grass, I just kind of tucked that around as well. So that is our garlic tucked in. Now we just need a good layer of snow, and I will be happy. Not that I want it to snow, but it would be nice just to get this covered up and tamped down and tucked in. All right, so let's move on to getting some peonies in the ground. All right, so I've got my peony roots set out where I'm gonna dig my holes. So peonies 2 to 3 feet apart, and then rose typically 3 to 4 feet apart. I'm doing mine a little bit closer because I've got them out here at my cut flower garden, and they'll probably take some time like to grow to their full size, and I may move them. So I'll figure it out later. I just need to get them in the ground. Again, I'm sorry if this is not the way that you garden, just it works for me, kind of. So actually the first thing I'm going to put in the ground right at the very end is my Summer Sparkles Baby Breath root from Bessie's. Again, I've tried to grow this once before, didn't really work out for me. We'll see what happens this time. So that's what it looks like, pretty ugly. This is the top, that's the roots. So I'm just gonna put the dirt kind of right up to the neck here. One down, 2, 4, 6, 8 more to go. This one is from Bessie's as well. It's called All That Jazz. And I just want to show you. See all the little buds on those roots? So, all the little eyes, I should say, they're looking nice and healthy. I'd love to see that. So with this one, roots down, buds facing up. And I'm gonna put them about 2 to 3 inches below the surface. I am hoping to get some mulch on top of these as well. We'll see what happens. It might not happen today, but at least we'll get them in the ground, tucked in for the winter. So if you recognize this area, this is where I had most of my dahlias. So I'm switching it out and I'm going to move them to a new spot next year. And I thought this would be a nice spot for my cut flower peonies. So with this one, slightly deeper hole because it's in a pot. Like to kind of work up the soil in the bottom of that hole, especially for the ones that are just roots that are going in the ground. I want the soil to be nice and loose and to drain well, just in case we do get a lot more rain before the snow comes. I want the moisture to be able to drain away from them relatively easily. The wind is picking up. It's starting to get pretty nasty out here, so I'm probably just gonna rifle through the rest of these pretty quickly. And this one is Peony gardenia. Again, it's an interesting root, lots of buds on there. Here comes the rain. This one's Sarah Bernhardt. Raspberry Sunday. I don't know what one this is. This is another Sarah Bernhardt. Didn't realize about two. I was gonna do my last one there, but I'm gonna do it over here. I forgot, I have more peony roots coming. They're just held up in the Canada Post strike, so I don't know how viable they're gonna be after sitting potentially packaged up for, it's been almost 2 weeks now. I'll plant them and hope for the best. But anyways, the last one is Coral Charm going in right here. All right, friends, that is all of our garlic and our peony roots planted. I was hoping to get a few more things done today, but the weather is not cooperating, so I will just get those into the ground either later today or another day, but I will get them in the ground before it gets too cold. So I just wanted to thank you so much for joining me today. It means so much to me that you enjoy spending time with me. I hope you're having a great day, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm sorry about the background noise. My little helpers, they like to chime in. So yeah, thanks so much, guys. I hope to see you in the next one. Take care, friends. All right, peonies and one baby's breath are all tucked in for the winter with just some wood chip mulch. So that's another job we can check off the list. That's awesome. And here comes someone to play in the wood chips.